The public safety meeting for the city of Hudson to order on Thursday, June 7th, 2018. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Alms.
He will be excused late.
Alderperson Hall.
Here.
Alderperson Morset.
Here. Minutes from our May 10th meeting.
Move to approve.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. Motion passes. We will move kindly to number 4 on our agenda, discussion, possible action to increase crosswalk visibility on 2nd Street north of Vine Street. So if you'd like, take the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Felicity Polanski, 826 2nd Street. I just wanted to bring it to the attention that there's kind of a lack of crosswalk signage on 2nd Street from Vine heading up north towards North Hudson. I have noticed that Vine Street, once it's got repaved, it's got some really great signage, some flashing lights that tell you your speed, and then also some crosswalk signage that you can press a button and it flashes. I've also travelled along Grandview that got repaved recently as well, and noticed that they have way more better signage than we do on probably the busiest road through Hudson. I live on the corner of 2nd and Orange, and there's no signage at all at that crosswalk, and the painting on the street as well on the blacktop is getting worn out. The only signs that are out there are in the summer, those temporary signs that are put out in the middle.
Right.
And obviously 6 months out of the year we have snow and they're removed for ploughing. So I just kind of wanted to bring it to attention and kind of what steps can be done to look into that, and then see what signage needs to be put up.
We could certainly start with restriping and painting those crosswalks.
Yeah.
For starters, and then we can certainly observe and see what's happening. Have you observed anything?
Oh, I've been
Out of the
close
ordinary?
calls many times. The Orange Street is where, when you go down to First, is actually that access that accesses towards the river path. I see a lot of people walking their dogs, a lot of people from the churches up on 3rd, walking down and crossing at that crosswalk.
Is it a parking issue where they're parking too close to the corner?
There is an issue, kitty corner to me. I'm in the yellow house, kitty corner. That's actually got three, I would imagine, apartments in one dwelling, and they don't have off-street parking. Okay. So that whole corner gets busy with parked cars, and it's actually hard for the vehicles that are actually coming from North Hudson to actually see anybody actually waiting in the crosswalk.
So
on
to
that
relieve
side.
that, we could certainly put some yellow stripings, at least car length or 2, Sergeant?
Yeah, some of the no parking yellow, the yellow curb. I think they are, there is some yellow on the curbs there already, but maybe it needs to be repainted
Repainted.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if we have to mark it, we could possibly look at a signage.
Well, I just noticed that there's every crosswalk along Vine has a sign. Every crosswalk on Grandview has a sign. Even the neighborhood or association crosswalker trail
Yeah.
has a sign.
They were included into that construction, both of those construction projects. This is a little different where we'd have to go find the monies for that. Not saying that that's not an issue, because we try to err on the caution of safety. So we can certainly take a look at it.
Yeah.
My recommendation for now, and you guys decide otherwise, would be to do the painting and the striping. I know they just started striping again through Public Works.
Okay.
Is that correct, Jim?
I'm not sure when that date was.
I just saw the truck out today, first time, so.
Okay, I hadn't seen it.
So
Is-
they are out. Go ahead, Jim.
Is this the only crosswalk that you're concerned about, or are
Well,
there
there's
other
that
ones
one, and
along-
there's another one further down. I think it's Division. They're just not very well signed, and you know, it's a really busy road.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I'm just comparing with neighborhoods, and I understand that that was built into the cost, but
'Cause painting crosswalks is not that expensive for us,
No,
so
no.
we might, so if there are other crosswalks that should be painted, then let's take care of
And
that.
they may be scheduled, it's just a matter of getting them done right sooner than later.
ideally, some better sign, you know, what I'm ultimately looking at is better signage, but that, again, is, the issue is on the other side, coming from First up to 3rd, and just those cars are parked, people can't see you. You're standing there and you just,
Sergeant, did you pull any traffic accidents or data from?
No,
No.
no.
So well.
I think we should revisit this at our next meeting to, so that we can, I'll make the motion to recommend to Public Works to have all of the crosswalks repainted and any curb markings repainted as well. So from Vine Street north to Lake Malibu. And then that we revisit this next month just to see if there's anything else that needs to be done.
Okay.
That seems to be important to get done right away, or if we we could decide to revisit it at the end of the summer or something like that as well.
And is that stretch of roadway going to be redone at some point
2020,
here?
it's still off.
yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say, maybe that's part of the project too, that'll be
It will be,
the extra
yeah.
signage and will be included then too.
Yep, and design-wise, traffic taming, certain things. Again, that's Wisconsin DOT and designing that, so.
I'll second that. I'd like to revisit this to see, was that the cure, or should we look at signage at that point?
Well, I think that next month we should discuss signage and then revisit things at the end of the summer as well.
Okay.
And then maybe next month we could see if there's any accidents that have been reported on any of those corners. So we
Yeah,
got some
crash
data.
or pedestrian versus vehicle,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Pull up any data that might be appropriate.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So June 18th, we'll recommend that. It'll probably be done faster than that, so.
Okay, thank
we-
you.
Thank you. We've closed the issue, Marilyn. Go ahead, real quick.
Okay, I'm on River Valley Trails, Marion Weber, 604 Grandview Drive. I'm also with the Bicycle Advisory Committee, Hudson Bicycle Advisory Committee, and crosswalks, sidewalks are a subject that's near and dear to us right now. What I've done, just for your information, is pull together just a little bit of background as far as safety, crosswalks, pedestrian safety. I'll just give you this. I'm also going to be talking about this at the Bicycle Advisory Committee meeting. It's very timely because there's a lot of work that needs to be done about crosswalks. And there's a right way to do it and a wrong way. And what we're going to be doing is
Thank you.
finding out a consistent.
Okay, we'll take the information, Marion, and then we'll put it on our next agenda to speak.
I think that's
Marion, I didn't get a copy of that handout. Thank you.
what she got too.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5, discussion possible action to conduct the 3rd annual Helping Hands through HIPAA event in Lakefront Park, Saturday, September 29th, 2018, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Angel.
Angel Drati, 105 Second Street, Hudson. I am here to hopefully get permission to get approved for the 3rd Annual Hudson Independent Business Association event, which we put it on to honor 5 nonprofits in the Hudson community. This year, we chose the Hudson Backpack Program, Tropical Wings, St. Croix County Historical Society, Hudson EMS, and then Coco's Cares. At this year's event, there will be goats, the Munch Bunch will be there, which we will have a certificate of insurance, which I know there's already one in file. Coco's Heart Dogs will be there, adoption dogs, which we will also get a certificate. We will have a duck drop, which we have talked to Tom Zuli about having a truck there to take these little ducks that we number. We raffle off tickets there, and then, by which ones roll up with the number on it, they can win prizes. So we will have that. He said he would do that for us. And then we will also have pictures being taken with the goats also. And then Carpenter Nature Center will be there with birds of prey. There'll be food on site, no alcohol or anything like that. We're not going to gate it off this year. It's going to be a free event. And And really, that's it.
Sergeant, any concerns from the police department?
No.
Is this the first time you've done this one?
Third.
Third, so there were no issues in the past, correct?
No.
I'll move to approve.
Second, is this the first time with the goats?
First time with the goats.
Goats are hot on the radar now.
They are.
Right on.
It's an attraction now, huh?
It is an attraction.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? We'll recommend the council on the 18th of June.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Number 3.2, discussion possible action to block 10 to 15 parking spaces in the library lot, July 1st, 2018, for a Library Foundation event. Tina, and should you bring your other partners in? Just Susie, get on the camera, right?
Tina Norris, Hudson Area Public Library Director. And I'm Susie Gilbert, representing the Hudson Library Foundation.
You need their address?
I'll just use the library.
Okay.
And we are requesting reserving 10 to 15 parking spots on July 1st, which I know is Booster Days, but we have a thank you, an appreciation event that the library does for all of our donors. And so last year, we had a really low turnout because there was no place for them to park. So
It's kind of a tight weekend to be asking for parking.
I know.
We have sent out invitations, and what our plan is that as we get the RSVPs, we'll know how many parking places we need, and we don't expect that we would need more than 10.
But it is on the Sunday, right?
And it's the library lot, public parking lot for the library.
How many I'm sorry.
So it's in the parking lot, in the library parking lot?
Correct.
Is what you're saying? Okay, in that part, okay.
How many are you expecting, and how would you block them off?
Actually, I talked to Jeff, and we really only need it from like 4 to 11, the spots, but we really thought it would be best just to block those off at the start of the day. He thought that was the best option so that we wouldn't have to worry about getting people out of those spots.
What's the start of the day?
I think there's no parking until from 2:30 until, I don't know, I don't read those signs every morning.
I think we would have to,
Prob,
we'd have to understand what the events were for the day.
yeah.
And I don't know that we've actually looked at those to
I-
determine.
The booster events
I'm guessing.
or your events?
Well, it's like Tina said, we want to make sure that the spaces are open and that somebody that may park in those spaces could be parked there all day and wouldn't allow us to put any reserved parking signs up. So is there a parade on Sunday?
No.
No.
And are the fireworks Saturday night or Sunday night?
Sunday.
Fireworks are Sunday.
So
How long?
this is the reason for the event, is to watch the fireworks
Correct.
from the balcony. Well, my husband had suggested that a couple of years ago. I'm glad to see that you implemented that idea.
We did. Last year, I was at the library at like 7:30 that morning, and there was nobody parked there. So I would imagine we'd have to block them off.
So let me get this right, and maybe you let the cat out of the bag inadvertently. You are trying to block a public parking lot for you folks to watch the fireworks.
10 parking spots, not the whole lot.
That doesn't sound right. It's a public parking lot, and you're blocking it off so you guys are able to watch the fireworks?
The event is hosted for our donors. It's not us as employees or the foundation, it's there to show appreciation to our donors.
You see what I'm getting at, though?
I do, I see where you're getting at, Randy. What's unfortunate is that parking for the library is an issue.
It's not just the library.
I understand that. I know it's all over. It's been that way since 1940. But For this special event, and because it's at the library, we were hoping that we could block off whatever number of spaces might be needed that evening. And we're not expecting more than 10.
Is part of the fireworks part of that event?
Yes,
Is that the first time you're doing it this year?
this is the second.
This is
Would be
second.
the second year.
Well, that surprises me, that low turnout last year. You know what I mean? I mean, seems like a prime place, and
It is a prime place. The
that
problem that we
parking wouldn't
had-
matter, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, I do.
Well, and are some of the people mobility impaired that,
Not mobility impaired, but older. And so having to walk 5 blocks in order to get there is not something that they're able to do.
could you run a shuttle from another, so arrange parking in a private lot and have a shuttle from there for your guests? Then you would only need 1 or 2 parking spots for the shuttles?
I suppose we could consider some other options. We were just hoping that it would be easier for the people coming. And again, we're asking for RSVP, so we'll know how many there are.
You didn't ask for a blocking of the parking lot last year, and you're saying because of the events, there was no parking, so it had a low turnout?
Right.
The feedback was that parking was an issue.
What do you want, what's your goal to raise? Raise money for the library, Friends of the Library?
It's the Library Foundation
Foundation.
event.
Okay.
And so again, it's an appreciation for those larger donors that have given to the foundation.
And are
And
you
it's
gonna-
our way of saying thank you and hoping that their donations could be sustained over the years.
It's not a fundraising event per se.
No.
You're not raising funds, you're saying thank
It's
you
a
to the
thank you,
key
right?
donors. I'm kind of siding with you. I mean, the fireworks is a public event, and as such, everybody's looking for a parking spot to get close to the fireworks. There's competition. Didn't we just change a couple of spots there to
We did, we
short-term?
Didn't we put 2 parking spots,
I think it was-
15-minute parking?
I think it was
For the
2.
library? Is there a private lot nearby that would be willing to block off
We have
access for you?
engaged with a private lot that would give us a few parking places, and so we were hoping that we could make sure we had enough for everyone and get a few spaces in the library lot.
Yeah. What's your pleasure? Chief, Sergeant?
There's no issue from the police department perspective. Like you said, initially, just the blocking of the spaces, that's really, having to decide if you'd use barricades or cones or something like that to keep the spaces available for your donors. But as far as a police perspective on it, there's no issue for us.
Do you get overnight parking in there from the islands or anywhere?
No,
floating?
no.
No? That's good.
Just kind of out of my realm, but just maybe ask you.
Sure.
You have police-only parking spots there, correct?
We do. We have, I think, 5. I think there's 5 of them.
And those are always for police?
Yes.
On a Sunday, would those possibly be open where you could maybe restructure a little bit for the time of this where maybe those could be allowed to be used since they're, I don't know, and you don't have to answer now, that's something.
Yeah, it's something we can look into to see
Yeah.
if we can take those spots and designate them, and, we always have room available in the garage where we can park our squads in the garage if
I'm
we
not
have
putting you on
to.
the spot now. it's
Yeah,
just-
no,
I
that's
think
not a
outside
bad
little bit
idea.
to just-
That's something I can talk to Jeff about and see if that's an option.
Then if we could, and if there's 2 spots that are short-term that we could flip to be reserved parking just for that, you know what I mean?
Anything you could do would be very helpful and be very much appreciated. It's an event that I think will be successful going forward, and if we can address the parking issue for those large
I'll-
donors, that would be helpful.
I'll make the motion to move this to council without a recommendation so that we give you time to determine exactly how many spots you need and then how many, because, that'll give you about a week and a half to do that. Because our next meeting is the 18th, and I know you've got to make a decision soon, but this would give you time to at least gather enough information about how many people will need a spot And how many spots would be available from the police?
We'd be happy to work with the police department, and if there's, something that we could do there, that would be helpful as well. And those other spots that are,
The short term.
Yep,
The
yep.
two short terms. Too bad the trolley's not up and running. So that was your motion?
Yes, that was my
I'll
motion.
second that
Okay.
motion.
Okay. So what, you've got a week, you got till June 18th then and then you'll have to come to council and talk the issue. So we're not saying no right here, but
right.
it's going to council and then we can hopefully find you some spots.
So does the council need to approve those police spots and the temporary ones?
Not necessarily. The
Okay.
temporary ones, yes, but I think it could be a workout.
Sure. How many spots would that be?
I think it's 5.
You
At
have
the police
5?
department, yes, I think we
Plus
have
the
5.
2 would be 7.
Well, that'd be great. I mean, just
But-
those would be very, very helpful.
Are the 5 the ones on the circle, or are they the
Yep,
ones?
they're in the circle, you know where the big
Yes.
generator is?
Yeah,
Right there,
yeah.
they're the ones right in front.
Okay, so those are the ones you're talking about. But then
Correct.
what about the ones that are east of there on the far side, where, aren't those blocked off for police business?
They are, but those are only during business hours.
Okay,
And so on Sunday, that wouldn't apply, so those are just open for the general parking as well.
okay.
So Randy, if we would agree that if we can make arrangements with the police department for those 5 and the temporary ones for 2, I think we'd be happy with that.
Okay?
Don't you feel?
Oh, I think
Yeah.
so.
So you would prefer us to give you some kind of formal recommendation tonight for that?
Yes.
But do you need to go back and,
Yeah,
I would probably have to talk to Jeff.
So, yeah, we
That'd be
can't.
fine.
we'll do that at the council meeting. For
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
That way it'll be done.
I just want to make it easy,
yeah.
and that'll be helpful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you work with Jeff and then come with a proposal that Jeff has already approved or, is willing to support, then we should be able to get that through at the council
Yeah.
meeting.
We can do that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
thanks,
So your motion is still
Yes.
move to council? I
all in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, thank you. Art, do you want to jump in first? Do you got to be somewhere? Sure. This is for informational purposes only because Art had asked me about a month ago to get on the next agenda. My fault, I did not get on the agenda, but he has, go ahead and state your name and your issue and what you're thinking.
Hi, I'm Art Doyle. I own the building at 607 2nd Street since 1990. I've been in downtown since 1984, and I'm here to have it considered to have short-term parking put on the 600 block on the west side of the street for multiple reasons, and I also thought that perhaps one more handicap spot would be a good idea too, since parking has become a challenge for many people, and so people dropping off 1 to 4 bikes at a time and having to walk 2 to 3 blocks with them is challenging for them, and of course then it's challenging for my business. And then the short-term parking spots could also be helpful for people dropping off people at restaurants, because there's a lot of them. And so having a spot that they can pull over, drop off somebody, and then go find a longer-term spot. And then the insurance agency and the accounting agencies and all that frequently have short-term visitors. So I think some short-term parking on the 600 block on the west side is logical. This is the first request I've made in 34 years for something like this, so it's not a hasty thing that I'm doing here. In the last 5 years, I've considered it, but I didn't want to because I wanted parking for everybody. And I still want parking for everybody, but it appears with the amount of parking pressure we have in town, developing some short-term parking zones are beneficial, I'll say to me, and also to other people on the block. And the extra handicap parking, I think, is a wise idea. So that's why I'm here. And then, of course, there's plenty of short-term parking throughout Hudson for various great reasons, and I can list off all the ones, but you guys probably know where they all are, so I don't have to list that, correct?
Correct.
All right. And I just learned about the short term at the library tonight, so.
And
I added it to my list.
I just got corrected that that does not exist yet.
Those haven't been installed.
Okay,
Those
all
haven't
right.
been installed.
Never mind. And I will say my building is safe from a fire point of view. He visited today. I had a nice inspection.
So when you.
So what I was thinking, this was what I was thinking, is that starting at the south end of the 600 block on the west side, in front of in front of Smiling Moose, that the first spot could be a handicap spot, and then the next two spots would be short-term parking. And that's my proposal that I would like the,
You kind of thinking a 15-minute loading zone, that kind of thing?
yeah. It's something that, it's, no different than what's by Mickelson's or next to Dunn Brothers. Dunn Brothers, there wasn't any short-term parking there until Dunn Brothers opened up.
Sure.
A coffee shop wanting short-term parking. So, there's certainly places around town that it's been done. And in fact, there's 3 of them in front of City Hall, so that people can run in and take care of their business and not have a car parked there for 2 to 4 hours. And there's certainly many more visitors to Hudson or residents in Hudson that are now parking 2 to 4 hours in a spot to enjoy the many things in downtown Hudson. And so I think it's rational to have some short-term, and if you're parking longer-term, to having to walk a little bit longer is a reasonable concept.
With the short term, would you see that as a time frame during the day? I mean, are people dropping off
Well,
bikes?
I didn't
Is that generally during the day, during the week, or is it all over the place?
If we're speaking specifically to my business, say 9 o'clock till 8 o'clock, so we're open 10 to 7.
Got it.
And I didn't study the time of all the other slots, so I certainly would want to be what's considered reasonable and practical about it. And so from my perspective, having it go till 8 o'clock is a great idea. But, I didn't study that, and I don't know what the protocol is or.
We have ones out there that are timed with the businesses and that they're in front of, so it's not unreasonable.
So-
And I don't think you asking for one, being as long as you have and the issues that you have down there, is unreasonable whatsoever.
Okay, well, that's encouraging, thank you.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have spots in the back?
Yes, I have 2 to 3 spots. I have my own parking lot in back, and so we have that posted above my door, we have it posted on my door, we have it posted on my website, but it's 2 to 3 spots, but we tell people, but those can get filled up too.
Gotcha.
So we have, fortunately, the reason I'm still here is because we're busy, especially we're very seasonal, so right now we're definitely in peak time, so we can have anywhere from 10 to 15 people in the store at a time, and more. So the 2 or 3 spots in back, 3 only if everyone parks like they should. Joking, but very neatly. So we have 2 spots. But many businesses that have way more capacity than me, like Smiling Moose and Mallory's, to speak in my neighborhood, they don't have any spots for their customers. And yet they can have a capacity of 200 to 300 people. So yes, I do try to provide parking to the best of my ability. And we used to park in back for staff, but when parking became more of a challenge, we decided there's a need for some parking that there's a better chance that our customers can find.
Gotcha. I was just asking the question because I didn't know if that's something that you could direct to your customers to say, hey, drop off is in the back,
Oh,
or.
we do, I promise.
I'm-
Yeah. No,
I know.
I mean, we do, we have it above my door, we have it on my door, we have it on my website, we have it
Gotcha.
everywhere, but it's still, say, officially 2 spots and 3 if people park perfectly.
Right.
And then they are transporting bikes, it's not that they're, have to walk in, and sometimes people joke, well, have your customers ride their bike down, like, that's not gonna happen, come on.
Well, especially if they're dropping it off, then
Right,
they have no way of getting home.
They'd be riding it.
It's a standard joke for a bike shop owner that I'm told, so, no, it's not practical.
So how many spots, or are you saying the whole?
I started out asking for 2 short-term parking spots, and then when I started to think about it, I thought, well, a handicap spot at that end of the block is
So 2 plus a
Reason-
handicap, or?
that's my suggestion.
Okay.
My request is for the 2 short-term parking, because I guess I would direct more towards the business aspect of it. I can't say that we have a lot of people that are mobility impaired coming to my shop, so I wasn't viewing that so much as for my business, but as a logical need for downtown Hudson. And to me, it seemed, if you have handicap at the end and then 2 short-term, it makes a spot that looks like, well, you gotta be either here short-term or you gotta have a sticker. So it just makes it more clear and more accessible.
And to that point, I wanted to ask you too, I know that this is something that's not
Well, it's
related.
informational, but I'm going to suggest that we move it on to full council to expedite the request, so,
Okay, since it is the busy season, yeah.
yeah.
But I have a question for just handicapped overall. Is that something that the parking, that new committee that are you looking at that? And this is probably not the place for me to ask that question, sorry.
It really, I don't want to give you the wrong answer, but it's probably in there that we are trying to identify and make sure we have the capacity
Right.
to accommodate those parking spots.
Gotcha.
And there is one of those on the north end, up by the
Buena Vista.
apartment building.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's a certain number per block, but it's certainly a busy intersection and busy corner and plenty of traffic flow. So having a spot for short term, don't forget the short term. But for handicap, just, again, it just seemed rational to me when I started to think about it. But I'm here mostly for the short-term parking.
Okay. So, because he's not on the agenda, I would request it, and I'm going to make, that we put that on the agenda for the June 18th council meeting, and then you can get a decision out of that body.
And we cannot make really a
Since we can't make a
recommendation,
motion,
right?
I think that that's an excellent idea.
No,
So I should show up to the June 18th
Yes.
council meeting? Okay.
and then hopefully we'll be able to make a decision. Lately, we haven't been pretty good at that. And then you'll have your answer.
All right, well, great. I look forward to that. And then I just have a side note that, since I started to think about parking and that, for some reason it popped into my mind that if Locust Street was a one-way street going towards the river, you might be able to put angled parking in instead of parallel parking, and then you could have more parking if the street's wide enough. And then pedestrian crossing and vehicle crossing at Second and First would be a lot safer instead of looking both ways. I thought it was a stellar idea. But, I don't know if it's a practical idea, and I don't know if the street's wide enough for that, and I don't know the rules of, one-way streets in Hudson or Wisconsin. But I wanted to bring it up because it dawned on me, and I like more parking, and I really find that crossing at Locust and Second Street there's people crossing all the time.
It's dangerous.
So having one direction to traffic for the cross will make it less of people trying to jump out between pedestrians, between cars coming. So I think it could calm that intersection down quite a bit. And if it gets a side benefit that you can have angled parking and get more cars in. So anyway, I just suggest that this Public Safety Committee consider that idea.
And we'll put that on our next agenda for July.
Okay,
First Thursday in July.
all right.
Or it might be the second because of the holiday.
Second Thursday, right, because the 4th is on Wednesday?
All right, thank you, Art. It will be on,
I appreciate the opportunity to speak when I wasn't on the agenda, so that was very kind. Thank you.
thanks, Art. Okay, we're back up to number 3-1. Unfortunately, Jeff isn't here, but the parking committee from downtown has chosen a server or a parking institute. That's Paracon.
This is the business that puts in the technology.
This will be actually the ones that will map out, and then we will put in the parking stations, pay stations, also pulling out the meters, and then there's about 40 pay stations that are in the realm of that. Did he give you any information, the talking points? You got that to it?
Just the sheet, yep.
I wish Jeff was here. We had 2 bids, and this is the one we picked. This one is the Cadillac. This one's is more of an affordable car. And Jeff, we're meeting on June 12th, so we will have more of an idea of the compatibility with this outfit to meet with the state of Wisconsin. SCADA, is it? Or the license plate reader, so anything will pop up on the license plate when we're writing tickets.
You're going to be writing tickets?
No,
We're going to be writing tickets. Does that mean I'm going to be writing them too?
I used to write tickets in college, but, so we've chosen this one. Unfortunately, I don't think that you guys got a copy of this.
No.
I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't
So
seen either
it's
of
pretty
those.
hard to recommend anything without
Yes.
you guys seeing a copy, so.
Right.
I guess we're gonna have to stall this, and I'm gonna have them give a presentation on the June 18th meeting.
Okay.
Someone will give a presentation. And you guys are more than welcome to split time with this. It's great bedtime reading.
Are there electronic copies of these?
There might be.
Because if those could be sent,
Let me
That
double
would be
check.
good.
If I can send them out, I'll send them to Melanie to pass to you guys.
that would be good.
Or I could scan them and send
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, that would be
That
good.
would be wonderful.
Let's do that. So I'll give you those.
Would it make
So-
sense to do that to a whole council, because we're taking it up on the 18th,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. But, so formally, I guess, it's hard for me to say, why don't you guys recommend this to council without you guys reading it, so I don't want to do that. So we'll get these out to council and then we'll move forward. Unfortunately, Jeff had to be at somewhere else tonight, and he had probably some good talking points as well.
I'll make a motion not to make a motion.
Okay, Bill. Bill.
Be quiet.
Number 6, EMS, Fire Department, Police Department updates. EMS, Brandon.
We met with the architects Monday to start the project for the design phase of Ward Avenue and identified a couple of potential issues, but they're looking into that. We're up to full staff with our full-timers.
Excellent.
My 5th full-timer started Monday, so we hope to get him through pretty quick, and we're constantly recruiting for EMTs yet.
Okay. Is there anything you want to add, Joyce, from the subcommittee?
Well, some of the things that,
I did read the minutes, so
Okay.
I am up to par on
so you're
that.
up to date till then, let's skip that, because,
Well,
Bill,
I saw the minutes as well.
Okay.
I was not at that meeting, I was out of town, the last EMS commission meeting,
oh, yeah,
right?
okay.
So my first one will be in July.
as a suggestion, I guess I wouldn't rest all my eggs into the federal or the state level government and reducing the Medicaid parent.
No.
So hopefully you guys,
No, we're working on bringing in a consultant to help us with figuring out what the community is willing to do and how to break things down.
okay,
So, because it's down to that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Is that like a full study, or that you're kind of recommending?
No, it
or-
would be more of a surveying the residents to find out what they want and what they're willing to pay for it.
is that going to help our sustainability? Oh, well, okay, if you're going to ask them if they want to pay for it, no?
Yes. And then Jim and I went up to Lakes Region EMS just to see how their operation runs. And it was a very interesting visit. We spent 2.5 hours up there.
Maybe there's an EMT right there. These two.
And I've got enough jobs. And, so seeing what a nonprofit that has been successful looks like. and how
I
they're
think
doing this.
a good touch base with Paige out at Baldwin Medical,
Okay,
Allison Page,
yeah,
would be a good resource.
okay,
Also, you might want to contact Mayo Clinic because they do offer ambulance service, and if that comes to the city, there might be something there. Just a suggestion. But anything you guys can do to get a consultant, tell us what we need to do, future sustainability, somebody that knows what they're doing outside of politics to tell
Right.
us what we need to
Yes.
do is the best way to
we
go.
want to find somebody that has experience with EMS, strategic planning for EMS.
That's excellent.
That's what we're working on.
Good.
Cool.
Fire chief.
So we're in the process of hiring 4 new firefighters. Letters went out today to start the process with some of the background checks and that. So we're looking to hopefully get them on board in roughly July. Currently, it looks like they all have some certifications, so some of the training will be minimal. So that's kind of good news. We met all day interviewing engineering firms. We had a committee, myself, Councilmember Alms, Brenda, the finance director, Mike Johnson, and David Gray. And like I said, it was literally all day. We had 5 different ones. Kind of narrow it down. We're getting feedback from a couple more. That'll be delivered probably next week. And then the following week, we'll reconvene and make a decision for recommendation for the council for an engineering firm. That being said, we had hoped that the study would be done on, or on the engineering would be done on the Ward Avenue property. So we're kind of waiting at this point, when we get our recommendation, wait for their information to be finalized so we can come to council with all the information on both buildings and let council make a decision on all the information. So that's kind of the direction we're going.
Okay.
So we're hoping, I'm not sure when they gave you a
We're
date.
hoping to have something started next week, like a drawing, but not final numbers for a
Yeah.
while yet.
So we're hoping within a month, hopefully, or less, we can come in and do both proposals and see what the council's pleasure will be. One other thing, that it's boating season. Check your fire extinguishers on your boat, but a big thing that we've seen in the last couple of years, carbon monoxide detectors, especially on cabin cruisers and that. There's been a few deaths. So if you don't have one, get one. If you have one, check it, make sure it's operational after sitting all winter. So just kind of a little safety note for the boaters. And
How's pit fires or grills? Are we
yeah, we're
wet enough? Or-
We're yes, and we're actually looking at our burn ordinance in the town, in the city, I should say, and we're looking at a little bit of revision to that. I met with Jeff Willems, and they do a little bit of enforcement. We're not here. We've had a few issues, so we're trying to maybe look at adopting a couple changes to that to make it a little more user-friendly, and so that I'm probably next month might have that recommendation.
Give us a review before you come to meeting with it,
Yeah.
so we give you some input.
Yeah, that's great, and we're looking for it, but obviously now it's more prevalent than it was in the past. Also, lots are getting a little smaller, so we're trying to figure out a way how we can make it work for everybody and still have people be able to enjoy a little fire without their neighbors maybe having to enjoy it at the same time. So, yeah, but I think that's about it, you know.
Hey, send me a question off the record, on the record.
It's on the record.
Yeah, it's on the record.
Yeah.
Anything burns if it's hot enough?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Sergeant, wait.
Well, we've been busy at the police department, of course. Right now, internally, we've got 3 new hires that are all going through the field training process at the same time, which gets to be very hectic. It's at some point, we'll be back up to full staff, so that'll be good. We're just waiting on one more here eventually to pass all his stuff and then hopefully hire him.
A couple events last week, officers okay?
Yes, yep.
And any leads on without compromising any investigation on the bank robbery?
No, I haven't heard.
Okay.
I think we're still in the same status with that, so.
Okay, so you're up to what, full strength is what, 27?
I believe that's what it is, yes.
Yeah, are you there
15
now
patrol.
or short? Because of Lutz?
Because of the retirements and stuff, we're still trying to get caught up, so, yeah.
I think we're due for next meeting possibly the drug detective update.
Okay,
We haven't seen one for a bit, so.
okay, I'll pass that on then.
Yeah, thank you. Any other information?
Yes, now that the weather is nice, I'm seeing a lot more people out walking, and there are a lot of people who are walking in the road with the traffic rather than against the traffic. And so if there's anything that the police department can do to get the word out to people to walk on the opposite side of the street, that would be very helpful.
Sure, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that, too.
Okay, thanks.
Any items for future agendas? I think we've got a couple from what we discussed today. And this.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay. Any other business before the committee?
Move to adjourn.
Okay, one of you got a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, folks.